What is the closest call you or someone you know has had to being kidnapped? My son was almost kidnapped. He was 4 years old and I had just had a baby the month before. My best friend came over for lunch and the baby was asleep in her crib. We lived in a 2-story house and the living space was upstairs and the garage was downstairs. On the side of the house was a staircase leading to the front door. It was a warm day and my son was sitting on the top step eating his ice cream. He was outside less than a minute when I went to see if he wanted anything to drink. He was gone. I ran down the stairs and looked up and down the street, and there was no sign of him. There was a teenage boy across the street watering his lawn, so I asked him if he had seen my son. He answered no. Now I'm panicking. The houses across the street had a hillside behind the backyard that went up to the freeway. I immediately called the police, and before I hung up the phone, there was 5 police cars swarming my neighborhood. Some of them were on foot on the hillside calling my son's name. It turns out a strange lady had came and taken my son. She was short in height and young looking, so my son thought she was a big kid. She had gotten him to come across the street and lifted him over the picket fence. She was dragging him up the hill when she heard the police. She told my son to close his eyes and count to 100 before he opened them. She was going to hide and he had to find her. Well, like I said, my son was only just 4 years old, so naturally he peeled, and when the police found him, they asked him what he was doing there. He told them he was playing hide-and-seek with the big kid. He pointed up the hill where the police saw a woman jumping into a waiting car and speeding away. They brought my son home and I cried for 2 hours afterwards. Needless to say, I wouldn't let anyone near him for a very long time. My son doesn't remember the incident, but I do. It's something I will never forget.